Hello, everyone. And after an awesome day one of MoteCon, where we heard about the launch of a feedback masterclass, how to allow your students to use voice to facilitate excellent in-class collaboration, and much, much more, it's my pleasure to welcome you back to MoteCon Day 2. Just like yesterday, we have an amazing lineup of speakers, and I'm really excited to get us going with our first session. This particular guest who's going to be presenting for us is a tech integration specialist for the Ross Local School District. She spent 14 years in middle school classrooms prior to moving into her current role, where she supports 3 buildings across the district, pre-K to 5. She's passionate about helping teachers and students using technology in more meaningful ways, and has recently joined the team at Shake Up Learning with friend of Mote, Casey Bell. You can find her on Twitter at Sarah J. Kiefer, which gives it away. Of course, it's my pleasure to be introducing you to Sarah Kiefer. Sarah, hello, and welcome to day 2 of MoteCon.
Hi, John. Hi, John. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here because Mote is honestly, the last year, hands down, has been my favorite tool to use in the classroom.
And before I joined the team at Mote, it was my favorite tool to use in my classroom, so which I'm sure won't come as any surprise to you. So what we're going to be doing for anyone that missed the sessions yesterday, by the way, they're all available on demand. And early next week, we're going to be launching all of those onto a YouTube playlist where you can access all of those and view them in little bite-sized chunks. If you have any comments at all, please just drop them into the chat. Let us know where you're from, what you're excited about particularly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave each of our speakers to their presentations, and really excited to get going with Sarah's now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share your presentation to the stream, and I'm going to jump off, Sarah. And just as we discussed, any questions at all, I will try and share them with you. But hopefully we'll have a few questions at the end where our viewers can interact and engage with you just to pick your brains that little bit more. But for now, I'm going to pass over to you, Sarah. Good luck.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. As John mentioned, my name is Sarah Kiefer, and I am a technology integration specialist in my district. And I currently support 3 buildings, pre-K to 5. And about a year ago, I'm going to be honest with you, I hadn't even heard of Mote, or maybe I had, but I just didn't know what it meant. So this journey, really, what I'm going to share today, I really want it to sink in with you that everyone has a story, everyone has a journey, and Mote can and should be part of it because it provides audio in your classroom. I have a handful of reasons down here at the bottom. It can provide audio feedback. It can provide directions via audio, commenting. You can use Mote in your email and voice notes. Today, I'm focusing in on a very specific area where I use Mote and I adore it. Part of my story, I've already told you that about a year ago, I'd not done anything with Mote, hadn't really heard of it. But then I started going into classrooms, and we all know what last year was. And we found that our kids just needed something more, and something a little more on the personal aspect. And came along, I'm also a Google certified trainer. And in our trainer group, I noticed people starting to throw out this Mote tool. And okay, I guess I should figure out what this is. I'm not real sure. So I dug into it. And let's just say I went from 0 to 60. From not really knowing what it was, how to use it, or why I would use it, to not only using it, loving it, and sharing the love, but I also applied for and became one of their Mote ambassadors, which I'm super excited to share because it's an amazing community. People are sharing and suggesting, and we get to provide some feedback and to the team at Mote. It's one of those companies that listen, and they're listening to us educators, and how can they make their product better for us? Not for them, for us. What are the things that we want? What do we need? And really, one of the biggest reasons that I love Mote is because it's so easy, it is super quick, and it is highly effective. And again, I haven't exactly told you what I'm going to do, but now I will in this presentation, is how do I use Mote? And what I really, really love about it is I started going into our kindergarten classrooms. And I wanted the kids to I needed our students to get a lot more comfortable very quickly with their Chromebooks, because that big question of what if. We were lucky enough, we went back to school last year face to face, 5 days a week. We offered a virtual option, but the vast majority of our students opted to come back in person. But I felt like the whole year was shaded with this, what if we can't be here? How are we going to do this with our students? And our little kindergartners were ones that were really tugging at my heartstrings, because they need so much of the tangible. They need to be writing, they need to be cutting, coloring, all that kind of stuff. And now we were kind of forced, but then it's who's at home supporting them? I can't be assured of anything. I would love to say that all of our kids have someone at home, but how are they going to read directions? We can't keep them on the computer all day, every day either. Mote was the tool for me in this case. I could quickly, easily, and effectively record my voice, pop it in where I needed it to go. The kids could click on it and listen, and we were off to the races. I was lucky enough that the kindergarten teachers allowed me to come in on a weekly basis, and I shared different small activities, nothing super huge, nothing super mind-blowing, but it worked. And these little ones were able to read what they could, listen to what they couldn't. And I was hooked. And I started spreading the love, and I started digging in a little deeper and seeing how you can use it in Google Classroom. You can use it in the commenting section of so many of the different Google tools. But today I really want to share with you a couple of these wonderful activities that I created that I'm sharing out and that you can take and you can make for your kids, or you can even just share out the ones that I've got. So let's move into some examples. So this is truly the first one that really heavily incorporated Mote. Remember, I didn't know about Mote for a while, found a real need, and here we go. Groundhog's Day. It was the first holiday that came around, and I'm like, okay, kids, do they really know what Groundhog's Day is? So I'm like, I'm a history teacher. Let's add a little bit of history. I'm like, well, kindergartners aren't going to be able to read that short little blurb, are they? Probably not. So what I did was, and you can see it real clearly here, this little brown speaker, I recorded with Mote in Google Slides. It pops it right onto your page. All they have to do is click on it, and then guess what? They heard me. So each student can do this. And each student did do this. So I'm also kind of overlaying this whole, teaching idea here too. This is what it looks like when you hover over one of the Mote speakers that you've now inserted. And this is a Google slide. So I recorded my voice on this speaker, and it drops it right into my Google slide. It has the right sharing permissions. I didn't have to worry about going back and making everything, anyone with the link. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. Thank you for taking that weight off of my shoulders and being able to do what I needed to do and what I wanted to do with these little ones. So if I played this speaker, it would tell you that if you want to see this actual slide deck about the Happy Groundhog's Day, you actually can just click on this. John, if I'm not mistaken, we're sharing out presentations as well so that people have access to this. But I'll also show you a different way that you can actually gain access to this and plenty more towards the end. Now, let me just open this up real quickly. I'm not going to open up all of these different activities because they all follow the same theme. So I've got this published on a website that called Templates for Teachers. I've co-created this with another teacher, and you can take and use this little preview link. Oops. Are we seeing my current screen? Nope.
Hi, Sarah. We are seeing your the tab from your Chrome browser at the moment. And also, just to confirm, we are definitely able to share all resources with everyone that joins in with these sessions. If you'd like to share an alternative view of your screen, then absolutely I can drop this off and restore that for you. Would that help?
Yeah, I want to show a different tab.
Okay,
I think
no problem at all. If you go ahead and load that up, and I'll bring that on for you. There's been some super positive comments going on in the chat. Everyone really excited to share the ways that they've used Mote, and also we've got people from every corner of the world in attendance here, Sarah. So I can see that your screen is there and ready to go. So I will push that back up, and I'll slip away into the background. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm hoping that now everybody can see the groundhog. So if you click on that speaker, it's going to read you the historical aspect of it. And then here's really where, now I haven't made a copy of it, but you just click that use template button. This is your own copy of it. And now your students can go ahead and do this activity if you choose to share it out with them. And really what I did was I recorded the directions that I would have included anyway. And it didn't take me but one take. And let's be real. Sometimes teachers, we get to be a little bit of a perfectionist and we just want it to be perfect. I read what I had on the screen. That's what I wanted the kids to read. So I just recorded myself. And here's where you could use Mote. Super easy. Take this, make your own copy, delete my speaker buttons, record your voice reading this, right? And it's a lot more personal for your kids. It's just that simple. Think about all of the different activities that are freely shared through Twitter groups, Facebook groups, any of these other, PLNs that we have out there, activities that are shared. You can record now the directions or specific instructions for your students, even our littlest ones, because all you have to do now is teach them when you see that speaker button, click on it and it'll play something for you. It's so easy. And these kids they ate this up. So we did a little bit of typing. We worked on a little bit of drag and drop, labeling the different parts of the groundhog. Honestly, starting in kindergarten, giving them fun ways that they can do these different things. Super easy. Here we are, we're going in math patterns. They have to fill in the numbers. These are actual text boxes where the students can click and they can type in that number. It's not going to do any of the self-correcting because it's a Google slide, but it's super easy now for a teacher to be walking around and see what's going on each student's screen. And then because the directions are already here, students can listen to it as many times as they need to. We've all been in that classroom where we've said the directions and then we repeat ourselves and then we keep repeating ourselves till we're like, why is no one listening? Listen to the speaker, guys. Listen to it. It'll talk to you. It's actually me. You don't have to keep repeating, but you're building that independence for your students because if they know you're going to tell them, click the speaker button. Anytime you put a speaker button on there, you've just saved yourself minutes. Those minutes will add up. So if we keep going, adding in another little bit of math, these are just really small activities for the kids to do. And Mote really allowed me to do this because let's face it, like I could stand in front of the class and I could talk the kids through this, but I don't have to because I recorded it and the kids can listen to it at any time. It was fantastic. Now, just a handful of slides. This wasn't meant to be a super long detailed activity, but it worked out really well for the kids. So I took that and then came Valentine's Day a couple weeks later. And like I said, I was going in every week. So there was an activity pretty much each week. But for Valentine's Day, notice I have 2 speakers on there. It was super easy. And I was just using the free account. So I only had the 30 seconds. And I'll tell you, that's great for little kindergartners. Use the free version until you find that, okay, you're ready to grow and you're ready to gain more. And then bump up, right? Again, if you click on the link in the presentation, you'll be able to see that particular activity as well. Then it started dawning on me that the speaker is great, but what if I wanted to tuck in little, what do they call them? Easter eggs, little surprises for the kids. But I also knew that some programs didn't use that bright purple speaker, right? Most programs don't use that bright purple speaker. That's very hallmark of Mote. And I wanted the kids to understand that the speakers could look like a lot of different things. So then I started using the replace image option in Google Slides. I'd record what I needed to, and then I'd replace that speaker with maybe the black speaker or maybe a red speaker or maybe something else. And in this weather one, I even changed it to a little weather theme. And the kids they're looking around on this, they're checking it out. And I would tell them like, hey guys, like there's maybe hidden audio in here. They'd start looking and they'd try to find it. It's a really cool way to get them curious and intrigued and kind of moving around in all of these different little activities. They loved it. There was one where we went to the farm. That was the theme for that week. And I had a little music note. So in the directions, I said, look around on the screen for something that'll play music and click on it for a special surprise. And it was funny. I teach in somewhat of a rural district. So there's farms and tractors and animals and all that kind of stuff. So it was funny when the kids would click on that. They've all got their little headphones on and they're sitting there and they click on the little music note. And it's a real kind of countrified song, just a little twangy thing that I found. And a couple of little kids sit there and they start dancing. And it was funny. They listened to the whole thing. Some of them listened to the entire 3 minutes of that song. They just enjoyed it. And I tell you, last year, during that year of all years, to see these little kindergartners having fun and learning, because they're learning to click on things and seeing that it will do things for them. It was just, it warmed my heart. Like I stood there next to the teacher and I was like, oh my gosh, look at them. They're all enjoying it. Some of them even came back to that page later just so they could hear the song again. So you can do more than just, recording your audio is one thing. Bringing in audio from other places allows Mote to take all of your work to the next level. So don't be afraid to kind of mash these things up. Now, at the same time that I was using Mote heavily with kindergartners, I had a colleague who had moved to a different district, and she was seeing that I was sharing this stuff out. She's actually a first grade teacher. She started doing all of this kind of thing with her students as well. And we came together over the summer and we created a place called Tech with Littles. And it's not just sharing out of activities, although we are sharing activities. It's also a place where we can highlight the thinking behind why we do this, the how you can do this. And we created it as a blog so we could easily share this out. And we'd love it if you took the time and checked out techwithlittles.blogspot.com. Again, link is right here with that little icon. But we're sharing that stuff out. And you can believe that I will be sharing Mote as one of the very first tools that I feel is super important to be using with all of our little ones as a way to enhance and further their education. Because the more that we can connect with our students, and we know in this world's constantly changing, right? Like we can't, as I tell my teachers, you cannot be guaranteed that every student will walk through your door. We honestly never could, but these days especially, some of them may not be able to come for a week or whatever the situation might be. So if we can share this and we can push this out to our students easily and effectively, I say, let's do it. So I hope that you join me at Tech with Littles, and Brittany and I are going to work on building this resource up and sharing out more and more. We have a few things in there already, but I have to say Mote will be the very first tool that I include in our list of tools that you should be using with our littlest ones. Now I'm going to wrap that up. And with that, at the very end right here, I've got different ways that you can connect with me because I'm a big supporter of teachers and educators, and I love connecting with them. I'm on Twitter, I've got YouTube, Facebook, Wakelet, all of those kinds of good stuff. Like John mentioned, I do need to add on here that I just recently joined the Shake Up Learning team. We're actually going to have a back to school conference. Casey Bell is putting this on, and it is completely free. It's going to come out in September, like September 24th, I believe. Go ahead and register now, and then you'll have access to it. And it's going to have numerous sessions from so many different amazing educators, and myself included. I will say I'm in there, and we're just sharing all kinds of great things, just like what Mote does. And then you can see in each of the corners, I've got my templates for teacher website where I'm sharing out a lot of good stuff, as well as our Tech with Littles that I was just talking about. So John, with that, I hope I'm keeping good on the time.
You've been absolutely fantastic with the time, Sarah. You covered so much. You breezed through it with such ease. And I think it's really exciting to also hear that there are definitely lots of educators in the chat who would come from a different sector, that they're working with learners of different ages. But it's really interesting to see how you can take ideas, and regardless of the age of your learners, you can apply it to different classroom situations, but also to different ways that we can use voice to engage with the wider school community as well. Really grateful that you actually shared one or two of those ideas in particular, because just as you know, they're actually featured on our Learning Hub. For anyone that hasn't heard about the Mote Learning Hub, just head over to learn.mote.com. There's lots of information there. You'll also be able to see our blog and things like that. But if you click where it says the hub link, you'll be able to see some great templates from not only from the team at Mote, but our wonderful ambassadors and the wider community as well. Just if you have any ideas that you would like to share, then please reach out. You can do that through the website itself. It's always great to be sharing ideas, and we really have a strong Facebook group too. So just jump over to Facebook and go to just search for Mote Teachers, and you will find us there. We've got 1,400 or so educators that would be delighted to help. But yeah, Sarah, there weren't actually a huge amount of questions coming through, but we have mentioned there was the appetite for people being able to get their hands on some of those resources. We've just said that we will share them in the description. So when this does go live, we will share this in the description after MoteCon. But you'll also, if you can't wait, and I understand why you wouldn't be able to wait, just head over to learn.mote.com now, and that's where you'll be able to find all of the information. So in terms of, as we're looking forward, we got a couple of minutes, Sarah, as we're looking forward to the new year, like when you are working with, let's say, with some new co-workers that are joining your team, what are the kind of what would be the sort of main messages that you would give to them as a kind of easy wins to be using when it comes across Mote in their classrooms?
My school is a Google for Education, Google Workspace for Education. Got to get that name right. They changed it. So everything that we do is Google. And in the elementary buildings that I support, K3, we do use Google Classroom. So if you have that Mote account, the extension, it's built right into Google Forms now. It's built right into Google Slides. It's built into Google Classroom. And explaining to them very quickly, like, look for that purple button, click on it. It's going to record your voice. And then I can't explain how amazing it is to just watch it like pop there and you're done. It doesn't save to your drive. You have to go grab it and bring it over. The ease of use, especially at the beginning of the year when you're trying to onboard these new staff and explain to them, this is how you log into this. You go through your list of 8,000 things and they're just like staring at you. And then you show them Mote and they're like, oh, I could totally do that. Like that's easy. Remembering those 5,000 passwords, but the ease of use for Mote is hands down probably one of my favorite features, and I had a 4th grade teacher tell me she was spending so much time typing out the audio or typing out the feedback. What is it? You can speak about 2 times faster than you can type. So if you say you have 25 kids and you take 2 minutes per kid to type out feedback, which we know is not, it's far more than 2 minutes because you have to open, wait, let it load, find where you want to go. You're saving yourself gobs of time if you record your voice. And honestly, she said that the kids were starting to tell her, I love hearing your voice. I can, you can hear the excitement. You can hear the inflection, all of that good stuff from their voice. You can't hear that from the typed because they're not probably reading a whole lot of it, if we're honest with it. And I love just hearing people because when I hear it, like I can picture their faces, right? It just gives that connection.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, Sarah. You actually mentioned relatively early on in your presentation about how, so we're not a particularly big team at Mote. We are growing. But we always do our best to make sure that the feature requests and the way that we develop Mote is, as much as possible, is a response to the needs of the education community that we are serving. And so I know that for you, that one of the things that you and I had spoken about was about trying to get when you create a voice note within Google Slides, is that they would all go into a nice folder. And I know myself, as a former educator, a classroom teacher up until February, that is a massive thing. You know, we've got so many resources in our Google Drive, and so that was immediately put to the top of the priority list, largely because it was shared to this site that I'm just sharing down here at the bottom. So for anyone that isn't familiar, we have a website which is powered by something called Canny. And what you need to do is, if you just head over there to bit.ly/Mote requests, if you think that there's something that Mote is missing out on, something that would really help you and your learning community, and then you can upvote it, you can see what other people have been sharing as well. Honestly, that is studied by the team at Mote. It's gone through with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that everything that is requested there is definitely noted. We do have to prioritize, but something like that folder going into Google Drive was put very, very high up the priority list. And I know that it was a big win for you as well, Sarah.
I stress to all of my teachers, because you're right, we have so much sometimes crap in our drive that when you have to weed through it to find these things, it's like it's a lost cause. Like, I've had teachers go, I just don't even go there. Like, I can't deal with it. I'm like, no. Like, you have to, because otherwise you're recreating that wheel. So to put them all in one folder, big win for me.
And I should add that there's another big win, which has actually come out over for us, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, our summer break, is that now within Google Slides, and actually starting to roll out across Google Classroom, is you are now able to, as you're recording a Mote, you can actually pause it. So that just means that, you know, as a teacher that you might have a little bit of you might be having your first bit of feedback prepared, or the first part of a story, or whatever it is, and then you just need that extra 2 or 3 seconds to just get back on track. Well, now, and again, because it came from the community, we have a pause button that is available as you are recording your Mote. So hopefully that's a help for everyone.
Truly. You get that thought and you're like, yeah, you just need that second to pause and regather. Yeah.
Sarah, this has been a wonderful session. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday. And I know that you're super active on socials. You did share your Twitter handle at the beginning. It was at Sarah J. Kiefer, but we can drop that into the comments as well. And I'd just like to add one thing here. So we are actually, at the end of each session, if you want to have a certificate to evidence that you learned and you attended these sessions, I'm just going to share that just at the bottom. We have a little URL here that will take you to a Google form, bit.ly/MoteCon cert. So if you need any help with that, it's just bit.ly, and think of it as one big Mote concert, and then you'll be able to go and get your certificates from there. So anyway, Sarah, we have a couple of minutes until our next wonderful presenter is going to come. So what I'll do is I'll encourage everyone to go and grab a drink, grab a coffee or a tea, depending on where you are in the world, and we will see you back in a couple of minutes. But for now, thank you so much, Sarah, and please enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thanks for having me, John.
Cheers, Sarah. Bye for now. So here we are. What a wonderful session there from Sarah. Really, really nice to see some of those excellent templates and ideas being celebrated through the chat, but also I've seen on other social platforms as well. So big thank you to Sarah. So here we are, day 2 and ready for session 2. Session 2 is going to be delivered by one of our most active Mote ambassadors. They're also a Mote certified teacher based out of Colorado, an elementary teacher for 19 years and a special ed teacher for 10 years. Really passionate about education technology and all the ways in which she can use it, not only in her own classroom, but I would say that one of the things that impresses me most about this speaker is how they're really keen to help others. It is my privilege to welcome Debbie Charlton to MoteCon. Debbie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. We're definitely rolling with MoteCon now, and I'm really excited to hear all about the ways that Mote has been helping you out in your classroom and with your learners. So, if it's okay with you, Debbie, what I'll do is I will share your screen to the stream, a bit of a tongue twister, and I will then drop away. Any questions or problems, just give me a shout, but I'm sure it'll go absolutely swimmingly. And I'll see you at the end. Okay, right. Cheers, Debbie. Good luck.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. As he just mentioned, I have been teaching for, I think this is my 29th year. And so last year, as we all know, it was very different. And one of those things that happened to me is I started in the classroom and then I quickly was put into an online role of teaching for the entire year. This is how you can reach me. I am a current 3rd grade teacher. I've taught from kindergarten all the way up to age 21 between teaching special education and focused on math. So the school year started last year, and I don't know about you, but I was a little bombarded with what tools to use online, what resources, thinking about how I taught in the classroom, what was I going to use. And so I started my year off with doing some slides. And so what I'm going to share with you guys today is the top 6 wins that I used for Mote once I finally learned it. So the beginning of the year, never heard about Mote at all. So just like Sarah was moving along, doing some things, and all of a sudden I was in a Facebook group and someone mentioned Mote and I was like, Mote, what's that? And so I was working with another teacher. She was recording these slides and she was going out, recording the voice, inputting it. And I was like, okay, I don't have time for that. So then I found Mote. And so what I was doing at the beginning was I was going ahead, and I'm going to share this piece right here. This was what my slides were every day. So I had 30 students. About half of them were from my home school, but I had 3 other schools and they had never met me. And so they'd hear my voice when I was talking and then they'd be off, and you can see these slides are a bit overwhelming, but I had 4 reading groups. We would meet for math. We had also had our specials, lunch. They'd come back. I'd have 3 reading groups. So it was a lot. I knew that they weren't reading everything. So as soon as I saw that fabulous purple button, and I think it will always stay my purple button because I know exactly what to do, it was a one-stop shop for me. So as soon as I went and I pressed that button and it went on the slide, I went, ooh, that's pretty exciting. One of the great things now is having that pause button, and then it allowed me 90 seconds. Now I'm like, oh, that's not a long time. But most of my Motes were under a minute, so that was great to have. So when I go ahead and record, like many of the other presenters have talked about, was that, it's just that ease and that piece in there. One of the things that I really liked with doing the slides was the fact that you can move that white box around, because oftentimes you'll be in a program and it's sitting right where you need to read, but you could move it around so that you could actually see it in there. So what my kids would do for reading, they would come in, they would find their box, they would listen to the Mote while they were reading it. They could come back at any time and they were good to go. So I really liked that was my favorite thing. And then I started actually hiding little Motes and putting little, hey, if you find this Mote, send me a reply, or go into your Gmail and let me know for an extra ticket, because we had a reward of me doing a raffle at home. So it was really kind of cool to have that in there. Some of the things I liked was when it was time to, I don't know if it was here, sometimes they would be with me, sometimes they wouldn't. I would put a button and it'd be like, hey, you're supposed to be with me, hurry up. And all of a sudden the kids would just come running. We're like, I'm here. I'm like, awesome, great to have you here. So my very first one definitely has to do with the Mote in the slides, which many of the presenters have talked about. Next is that Google Classroom. As I mentioned, 100%, I was 100% online. I had 4 different elementary schools, 30 students. They would interact with me, but I didn't really have that interaction like I had in the classroom. So one of the things as we got going is when I would provide that personalized feedback in the Google Classroom, the kids started downloading Mote and they were responding to me. And I started to feel like I was back in the classroom with them. And sometimes it'd be like, hi, Miss Charlton, I'm having trouble. How do I do this? And I was like, oh, let me tell you how to do this. Or come meet me in a meet and I'll help you. So having that personalized feedback in Google Classroom was a huge game changer that helped us, not just them, but me, feel like we were having those conversations in the classroom. And I absolutely loved that piece of it all. Students loved hearing my voice. So I'm now back in the classroom. And so we've been in for 2 weeks. And so I've really been working with them to learn how to use Google Classroom, how to use Mote. And the first time I gave them all a personal message back and I had them put their headphones in the class. And the best part was going, and they just had this excitement to be able to hear a conversation or a message from me telling them how great they were doing on their writing and how they could go ahead and make some changes or add things. And the funny part is I know they listened to it because I wrote a sentence on the board and they used my exact words from the Mote to help me to make my sentence better, which was really kind of cool to hear. The other piece with Google Classroom, like Sarah had mentioned, was the fact that I was typing out all my comments. And when you're going fast, I mean, I can type 60, 70 words per minute, but it still takes a long time when you have 30 students. So once that Mote button came, it definitely at least cut everything down in half. And I could spend more time actually developing lessons, which was one of the best things that I truly enjoyed. Being able to have that, bring my classroom online. And now I love it because in the classroom they have it. And now they're wanting to actually download it too, so they can respond back to me, which we're getting there. Let's see here. Some of the new things that I noticed when I was just coming back after a couple months is being able to, when you're actually creating an assignment, to be able to record audio directions in there. Sometimes, and I had mentioned it, to John, is that the Mote button will disappear. But what I found out is that when you come in here, let me just get to Google Classroom and say I'm creating an assignment. Sorry. You can tell this is a new account for me. So I create the assignment. And in this account, the purple button showed up here. On my school account, it's down here. But sometimes when I start writing, it disappears. In tech, it always happens. And the one thing, like John had mentioned, they are great about listening. If something is wrong, they're quick to respond. They're quick to problem solve. They're quick to help us as teachers because they're really here for us. So another thing that I did that I'll be talking about is this Notebook. If I go ahead and I record my message right up here and click done, it copies to the board. And then I just paste it right here and it puts it in there. So even if you can't find that purple button, there's a fast and quick way to be able to do that in the assignments. So now the kids have the directions there, but they have the audio too. And I don't know about you, but expecting 8 and 9-year-olds to read every direction is a little crazy. So I tell them to listen to the audio while they're reading the directions. And it improved assignment completion drastically. So Google Classroom was a great one. The new thing that has come out is the app for the iPhone. And so sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I'll leave and all of a sudden I'll be driving down the road and I'll get a little message on my phone from like Google Classroom, something's not working. And so I will just pull over and I'll quickly just go ahead and use my phone and let them know, hey, I'll be home in 15 minutes. So now having the iPhone app, I can record that Mote very quickly, get back on my way. So those two things were some great new changes that I saw starting this school year off. The other piece that I really like with Google Classroom is the students last year who were online. They didn't have those connections, and being 4 different schools, they would actually type on the Google Stream. But the ones who had Mote, they'd actually go ahead and put their Motes in there. So they were having conversations with each other. So that was a really great thing, especially online. shortly I'll talk about what I'm doing this year. So my number 3 one is, of course, Google Forms. So every morning I would have my students go and they would tell me, they would watch a video about what was happening for the day, and there's a secret word in there. So they would go in, they would put the secret word, and then I do ask them how they're feeling for the day. We do the zones of regulations, and they'd let me know how they were feeling, which zone they were in, and then explain to me how they were, why they felt that way. But then sometimes I'd ask those questions like we do on the board, like, what time is it? What time will it be in 20 minutes? And so some students did have trouble with reading. So why not put a Mote on it and have them be able to listen to it? And some kids wanted to read it. Some kids wanted to just listen to it. The whole point, I wasn't testing their reading skills. I was going and I was checking to see what the answer to the question was that I had there. So going and adding in that Mote was huge. I know somebody went over it yesterday, and the speakers were awesome yesterday. If you did not see them, I was teaching, definitely go back in there. Once you've downloaded that app, you guys see it right here. It just pops up here. You just click it, record, and you're done. That's it. I love the fact that it's quick, easy, fast, and it's a tool for us to be able to use. So that is my number 3. So this is just going and showing that. And I put all of these things in there so those people that aren't attending or might want to go back and relook at this can see the little gifts that I have there. The next one is email. And so having 4 different schools, parents now becoming the teachers at home, and I had a wonderful group of parents who really supported and were there when we're needed, but they still had jobs to do. And one parent let me know, she goes, you know what? I have a lot going on. Is there a way you can briefly just go in there and just tell me what's going on? And I'm just like, she goes like a little 1, 2, 3. And when Mote came out, guess what? Click the Mote, record what's in the email very quickly, and done. And so I've been doing that this year because at the beginning of the year as teachers, we have so much to share and all of the routines and curriculum and all of those different things. So at the beginning of my email, I have my Mote that says, hey, this is what's in the Mote. On my activity page, I can see how many parents are watching it. I think last week's email, I have about 20 parents, about half of them listened to that part of it. So I knew that it was beneficial to them. So giving that summary to parents. Last year, what I did is I would do fun little emails to them because I wanted them to check their email. They're in 3rd grade. So checking email is not something they're used to doing. So I would actually go in, send them a fun little email, and they would respond back to me. So I truly enjoyed that. And I see some people talking about the transcription and translation. I didn't use that as much, except for one student. He came over from China, and so he spoke Mandarin, and then we went right into COVID. And so a few times I actually sent his Mote messages in Mandarin, and he thought I actually knew how to speak Mandarin, but I didn't. But he really felt that personal connection with me. And then finally, I had a birthday at the beginning of the year, and instead of sending an email that says, hey, thank you, da-da-da, I sent them a Mote message, which I truly enjoyed. So number 5 is the Mote pad. And I know I'm going quickly. I'm trying to get all 6 in here. Make sure to download the app. And as mentioned, when you're in here, you have the Mote pad right here. So here is your account once you're in. So what you do is you literally just click it, say what you have to say, it copies it, and then you just go ahead and add it wherever you want it to be. Now, one of the things that I did is, so if I was in my presentation for the class, I would actually go in here, I would record a message, and I would hide it in my presentation. And I think Sarah talked about this. So I would hide it in my presentation. Or actually, I clicked the wrong one. Sorry, let me go back here. I would go ahead and record, click it, it's on my board. I'd go to something in my presentation. I would just open up the link, paste it in, and they would have to try to find it. So it was like a scavenger hunt every day for them. And at the end of the day, we'd be like, where did you find the Mote? And they would get really excited to see if they could find it and see how many times they could find it. So that was a really great way to go ahead and do the Mote pad. The other piece is you're going to find some things that aren't Google that you just want a quick audio recording, boom, it's right there. So number 5, this is just another quick little video about that. And then comes the Mote book. How many people have used the Mote book or know what the Mote book is? This is probably one of the things I will definitely use a lot more this year. And I'm not in my school account, so you're not able to see, but these are just some of them. And what it is that those common notes that you want to give to kids, you save them. And so one of the things I just put in that request form was to go ahead and put it so we could do it by subject, so we could arrange them in subjects. But you have a Mote you recorded and you have some kids absent, or you want to use it later down the road, or, you know, hey, make sure to put capitals in your sentences. Every sentence starts with a capital. You save those, and then you just quickly go ahead and add them in. So for example, I think I have one in here. So what you do is so if this was one I wanted to keep, I'm going to go ahead and click edit.
Sarah, when you finish with these,
Go there. Let's see here. I'm going to save as. Let's put Sarah message so I know that. I click save, and it saves it to my Mote book. When I come in here, I'm going to hold down the Mote button, and then I just click on it, and it automatically puts it right in. John, some people are asking about the Mode paid version. I think that's part of the paid version. I can't remember, but I'm sure he will answer that question. But that is a huge game changer in saving time. I know right now, as Sarah was talking before, that we don't know what this year is going to look like. I'm in my 2nd week of school, and I've already had several kids out. So what I've been doing is putting things in Google Classroom. They know about the purple Mote button, so they can hear my directions even though they're not able to be right there in class. I mean, they've been in school 5 days. They're out because they're sick or that type of thing. So that has truly helped. So once again, my 6, and I think it's number 3, is the things that helped me the most during online learning was being able to record the ease, the flexibility, the students being able to hear my tone and my voice with the Mote slides as I'm giving them directions, providing feedback and directions in Google Classroom, and allowing them to actually respond back to me it just filled my heart to be able to hear their voices. The Google Forms, because of Mote, I started actually adding more things that they could do in Google Forms so that they could have that audio to be able to read it too. The email, just being able to have that in the email, I think has been very helpful. The Mote pad in the Mote book. So the next part for me is being back in the classroom. My biggest things I'm going to start doing is the Learning Hub. Last year, I was a little overwhelmed when they kept doing the Learning Hub and putting things in there, but there's a wealth of resources already created for us in there that we can use. I want to build my Mote book back up, especially from in the classroom, because it's going to be very different than being online, to have those comments in there quickly. I want to explore how the students can use the Mote in the classroom, because if you can imagine 20 students trying to record a Mote at the same time, that could be a little interesting. And then I love the fact that Mote started doing pop-up PDs. So you'll see over on this side, there's a YouTube channel that they have, and there's a wealth of pop-up PDs that they decided to do. And they're just 15 minutes. And they're just like 3 things, here you go. And I learned so much for them. And then right after this session, I believe we're doing sticky Motes. I saw it briefly, and I'm so excited to learn more about those. So those are the next steps for me. Some suggestions for you is going to the YouTube channel. I love the fact that the videos are right there for you. Join that Mote teacher community. Become Mote certified. To honestly tell you, I did Mote. I found the Mote certified, and I learned how to do everything through the Mote certified application. And then, of course, become a Mote ambassador. It's great to be able to provide that feedback, to get to know John and Will. I've worked with them quite a bit and had some Google Meets with them. Has been a great thing. And then finally, this is down here for one reason. When I'm teaching my students, a couple things. When using Google Forms, you need to decide, do you want them to respond with a Mote message? For me, in the morning, I needed to just see who was there, how they were feeling, and move on. I couldn't listen to all the Mote messages. So you want to make sure you're specific with them when they can use Mote and when they can't use Mote as students. Then teach them how to use the Mote icons, because that is a huge help, especially if they're not understanding those Mote icons. And when it comes up, so when, see if I can pull it up real quick. So pull this down real fast. So this is a message that I left. When they're done, I teach my kids to come in here and they can see thumbs up, love this, I may need some help, or thumbs down. When I see them, I tell them, this will let me know that you need help. And as soon as I'm free, I'll be able to be there. So those are just my 6 great things that came up. It is a wealth of information. On this slide deck, I do have the links right to the YouTube channel so that you can quickly find them. I know as teachers, we see there's so much that we see that if we can just have a link right to what we need, it's right there for you. I put up for the pop-ups, the Learning Hub, and all of those things. So I hope that was helpful. 20 minutes trying to jam it all in there, but Mote is something as a teacher, everyone should have.
Well, I definitely agree with that, Debbie. That was absolutely fantastic. And I know that we were kind of a little bit thinking, are you going to be able to put the wonderful ideas into that amount of time? But you did that and more. And you also did a really good job of monitoring the chat that was coming in on YouTube. There were a couple of questions. They've all been addressed there. One of those was around the Mote book, which you really explained super clearly. Just the need that sometimes that you may want to record a Mote, perhaps on one student's work, or even just pre-record something that you might want to use across multiple students and maybe even multiple assignments in multiple classrooms. The Mote book is very much your friend, and that is on the unlimited version of Mote. This is a good opportunity to just say we have actually relaunched the entirety of Mote's kind of pricing strategy, particularly for schools. So if you have any interest to see how that has developed, if you just head over to mote.com/pricing, and we've set it up so it's in currency friendly to wherever you are in the world. But that was absolutely brilliant. And Debbie, you are, as you mentioned, you are one of the Mote ambassadors. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, just in case anyone missed it, I'm going to be finding this link here, and I'm just going to be sharing it as a ticker. So we are going to, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be launching the application window for the next cohort of Mote ambassadors. You can find out, you can give us an expression of interest just by going over to mote.com community. And then the application window will be open for about a month. And then in October, we'll be welcoming our new, as I say, new cohort of Mote ambassadors on board. And just like we've all learned in the past year through using Mote and different things of virtual learning, we've also learned about the ambassador program too. So hopefully we will be able to provide something that isn't only going to give you a platform to share your wonderful expertise like Debbie just did then, but you'll also be able to learn from each other and be able to get some insight into how we are developing. And believe me when I say that the contributions of the Mote ambassadors and the voices of the Mote Teach community over on Facebook, and are almost, by the way, 5,000 followers on Twitter. We're only a few short now. So are always heard. So if you have any opinions, dropped it a couple of times into the chat, but if you have any ideas about how we can develop Mote as a product that would really help to support you and your students and your colleagues, then please let us know. We genuinely pay attention to every single bit of feedback that comes in. And I say that with a real kind of pride, having been an educator myself for 16, 17 years. And I know that one of the most important things of any edtech company is to make sure that it isn't the tech that's coming first, but it is actually the learning and the need to understand all of the wonderful things that you are doing with your learners. So Debbie, that was absolutely brilliant. I've had a scroll through, lots of great sort of fantastic presentation ideas, awesome sharing, etc. Just like with the presentation we had with Sarah, we are going to be sharing all of these links. If you connect with Debbie on socials, and I'm sure she'll be able to give you a copy in advance. But if you can wait, all of these sessions from MoteCon are going to go onto a nicely edited MoteCon playlist that we will launch on Monday and Tuesday next week. Okay, but Is there anything that you'd like to add to your 6 wonderful ideas, Debbie? Is there anything that you kind of felt as though that you'd like to reflect upon, or are you ready to go and have your well-earned cup of coffee?
I'm actually ready to learn about sticky motes because you brought that out when it was the end of the school year. And
Right.
like any teacher, I was ready to be done, but trying to keep those kids engaged 100% online. So I'm really excited about the sticky notes.
Yeah. So which is a really nice way to end this session. If you haven't heard about sticky notes and you haven't used them, the next session coming up in a little under 4 minutes now is going to be for you. So please stick around and I will see you in, as I say, 3 or 4 minutes. Well, I'll be introducing you to our next speaker, and I know that you're all going to love what we're going to be learning about sticky notes. But until then, just leaves me to say thank you so much, Debbie. Please enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
All right. Thank you.
Bye for now. So see you in a few minutes, everyone. Hi everyone, and welcome back to MoteCon. It's day 2, and we are smoothly sailing into session number 3. Now, as our previous presenter, Debbie, mentioned, this is going to actually be featuring one of our latest product features, that is sticky motes. So really excited to see how this session is going to go. This particular speaker is going to be wonderful, I'm sure. Serving currently as a teacher librarian at the North High School in Bakersfield, California, the director of the teacher librarian program at Fresno Pacific University, and past president of the California School Library Association. She is also a Google certified innovator and AASL Tech Troubadour. She enjoys learning, empowering teachers to inspire student learning, and frequently sharing her expertise as a national and global presenter. So it gives me pleasure to be welcoming. I think there may be a slight technical hitch at the moment. I think I may have temporarily lost Katie, but it is going to be Katie McNamara joining me. Now, obviously, this is a live stream, so she was here. I am struggling to see her right now. But if anyone has any ideas of ways in which they have been using sticky motes already, then please just drop those into the comments. In case you're unfamiliar, the way that sticky motes work is they basically attach themselves to a particular web page. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to share with my students a web resource or a web link that I had found. Perhaps it's a news article or a YouTube video. I don't want to steal any of Katie's presentation, but something like that. What I would then do is I would share the link with them, and then automatically, when they clicked on it, it would take them, as long as they have the Mote extension installed for Chrome, it would then take them to that web page, and it would have the clickable voice note there ready for them. I can see that that any technical hitches may have now lifted, and wonderfully, and a blessing for all of us, that you don't have to listen to me anymore. I can see that we've now got Katie waiting in the wings. I'm going to welcome Katie up and say hello, Katie, and welcome to MoteCon.
Hi,
there we
everyone.
go. Hello. I think there may have been, was there a minor technical glitch there as you disappeared from the studio and came back in? So I hope I didn't steal. I did give a super quick explanation of what sticky motes are, but I know that will pale in comparison to the wonderful the wonderful explanations and examples that you are going to be sharing. And you missed me actually saying all of those wonderful things and the amazing things that you've done and the accolades that you hold. So
it's recorded, so I'll have it forever.
You will. Yeah, that's very true, Katie. So what I'll do, if it's okay with you, is I'll share your screen to the stream, and then I'll leave it to you. I will fade away into the background, and if there are any questions or other technical hitches, then please just give me a shout, and it'll be my pleasure to join. But I'm sure it'll all go super smoothly. So when your screen is ready, I can see it now. I can just automatically share that for you.
Okay, quick question, because I'm a teacher librarian, so we got the tabs rocking here. Will I be able to switch the tabs, or do you need to do that for me?
No, so you will have entire control, complete control of your screen. So all I need to do, Katie, so I can see, for example, now that you have got the StreamYard feed on your screen. So if you want to choose if you want to get your presentation on, and then I'll share your screen when it's there.
It's looking like it's sharing on my end.
Okay, well, should we try it, and let's have a look here. So we can definitely see ourselves, and I think, is it in your second tab? There we go. It's loading. Make it stick with sticky mote. That looks pretty good to me, Katie. Okay, so what I'll do is I will drift off, and I'll come back when the presentation's finished, or earlier if it's needed. But I'll hand it over to you for now. Okay, Katie?
Okay, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Okay.
So welcome, everyone. Super excited about digging into the sticky mote here. I just need everything to load right. Oh my goodness. I know a lot of us are exhausted. I guess the computers are as well. So welcome, welcome. My Twitter handle's there as well. And I also want to give a really big shout out to the fabulous, amazing Sarah Smith. If you don't know her yet, yes, she's fabulous and amazing. She's going to be helping me with links on the back end. So everyone there out in YouTube land, you'll be able to follow along with us as well. So there's my bit.ly there, and Sarah will be dropping in just a moment. So what's the whole purpose of a sticky note? Oh, I'm so glad y'all asked. So basically, you can add voice to any website. We've seen a lot of fabulous presentations. And yesterday, my students and I, we got to watch Mario talking about digital storytelling and how you can embed it on a slide. And we just saw some great use cases for Google Classroom. Well, this is now just any website, like literally any website. Does not have to be Google anything, although you might be in Chrome, but it's still not a Google thing. So why in the world would you do that? Because like hearing the passion totally matters. Like if it was a robot talking right now, it would not quite be as interesting. The voice really gets a lot across. So when you're sharing something with an individual, I am always assisting teachers and educators at all different levels. So if I just give them a link, it's like, okay, it's a link. Now I have to figure this out. And maybe they've slept since we've talked, so they don't even remember what was going on. So I can now just add them a little message, attach the link, so it's all together in one click that says, hi, here's this about blah, blah, blah. It's going to help with yada, yada. Bam, it's done. And they're ready to rock and roll. So all of that jazz happening with the power of a sticky note. Okay. And then the message is like super, super clear. And our voice, like an extra bonus, is just that empathy focus can come out. We're going to listen to a message in a moment. And I'm talking about my educator colleagues' children too, because I'm making sure to get to know people I'm working with. And that's also part of the message, like, hey, whatever is going on, building those relationships are also easier when you're sharing voice, even with distance learning, and we have no idea what's going to happen. And there's definitely a big shift in the world. So being able to communicate asynchronously with voice, that's going to be our big, big win. And that TLDR, I know, you don't have to raise your hands, but I know a bunch of you have pulled that before. So definitely even a little trick with for those really, really long websites. Like, and I love to read, and I'll look at something like, oh heck, that's like over 2 pages of scrolling. I don't want it. But if you gave me a sticky note explaining some of the awesome there, oh yes, I would go ahead and scroll because you took the time to talk to me about it. So this is a little story here of a Mote of 2 views. So in case you're like, oh my goodness, what if they don't have it? Well, it happens, especially right now with how new Mote is. Like, totally, it's the new extension of the year. I think it came out last year, but because I didn't know about it yet. Okay, so if they have the extension, it's going to look just like the boy with the big eyes. So this is a clip that I was sending to one of my colleagues that totally goes with what she was working on. The YouTube link, my Mote is right there in that purple circle there, so you can see it. But she doesn't have it yet. So on the other side, it's the stuff is still there. She's still going to get my message, but you're going to have to do the scrolling thing. So right now, we just went back to school. All of my students are loading Mote right now. I want them to be able to see it on the website. There's a lot of power with that, because otherwise it gets to sometimes that TLDR issue, and they have to like scroll and see that finger pointing down, that neon arrow. That's something I added. It's not automatically on there. So it's kind of like tricky at first to like notice. You have to really go down, and then the link is there at the bottom. So that's the slight difference there. And this will just like help explain that a little bit more. So even for people that get the bit.ly later, I utilized the Mote that you can embed in slides automatically. And that's explaining this as well. So just a little bit of app smashing within the Mote right now. So this is just how it looks a little bit differently with Wakelet. And I noticed too that the screens are gray. And like, why are they gray? What's wrong with my computer? No. It's like that. So, okay, this is a pretty awesome trick. So if you're in a situation where you're live with your students in person and you're walking around, you can see if their screens are gray or not. If you're virtual and you're able to monitor their screens, if the screens are gray, that means they haven't pressed that play button just yet. So that's a pretty cool trick there. And also when you get into it, you can move your Mote around. So I like that too. So I'm looking at this Wakelet that I curated about different resources to make infographics. Is it like going to go slow? Okay, let me redo this one. I can come back to the presentation. It's all linked in there, but I want you to see how this works, that you can totally move this guy around. So I would never like close out the Mote because there's information there. But as I'm scrolling around, or if the Mote, the sticky Mote is popping up over some information I want to see. Okay, so see, it's gray. I press play. The gray goes away.
Hi, friend. Here is.
But look, I can go ahead and just move it around out of my way for whatever I need to see behind it. And I can still continue to play, or I can do what we just did right now, do the pause stop if I'm in a situation where I really want to hear it, but you know, I can't listen right now. Look at, bam, the transcripts are right there. Super awesome there too. Okay, let's see where we were at. Okay, oh, so this other piece, having the book talk. Okay, so I love teaching books, and it talks about all kinds of things with the books. You've got the blurb about the book. There'll be like author interviews there, sometimes extra resources, but when you get connected with your students, sometimes just what you would say is a bit better than what a publisher might put on a book. So what I started to do there is I have my Mote attached to it. I guess they all vanished. We're going to redo this. Oh, it's because I had a reload. Okay. Let me go right here. We're going to open this, and you guys can also see these. Everything's all interconnected. The bit.ly has been shared. If you notice, I've got my extra links in the notes as well. So everyone has access to everything because all the kids are all our kids. Okay, so we'll listen to just a little bit of this and then see if it talks like that in the little blurb that came from the publisher.
Here we have the classic story of boy meets girl. Girl likes boy, everything is wonderful and fabulous because like you're on a yacht, smoothies for days, all of that. It's all rainbows and unicorns until the bad guys show up and blah, 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 kill everyone except for 4 people. A politician and his son. They escape off a nice raft, and then a friend, along with her friend, they escape, and they're just trying to stay alive, grabbing onto anything they can, just hoping the bad guys don't see them and shoot at them in the water. Oh, well, pretty soon, the politician and his son are rescued, and the politician says there was a freak accident that sunk the ship, and there were no survivors.
Okay, so you might have noticed a little bit different than what the publisher said. And that's just another way to further make those connections with your students and whomever you're interacting with because you know them. So we're going to be able to get people more excited about like the resources we're sharing, why we're sharing it. So the sticky Mote, really that magic component is that personalization. What's going on? And I don't care how old the person is. If they're 2, if they're 60, I even have a grad student in their 70s, they're still teaching like, okay, you know, your choice. But yeah, people like to know that you care about them. And I guarantee you, every time you grab a sticky Mote, when you're sharing a resource, the message is that you care. So why would you do this? Because I also like promise like tons of ideas. So here we go, a brand new idea. So the video was a new idea. I was going to share with a friend. Info requested. I had another teacher. She's going to start the year off with infographics, digging into history. So like, yep, here we go. Here's resources you can share right away. Additional source whenever you're doing research. And research doesn't mean it has to be a research paper. It can, but not always. Maybe you've got a question like, hey, I need some more information about yada, yada. Okay, here's a great source that's going to help you with that. Maybe it's just like something that they're into and it's their passion project. So you have a resource that helps with that. Or you're looking at this graph that's going to assist as well. And they need it because of any of these ideas, but you want some like explanation to go with the image as well. And at number 6 there, super important. Like I totally am one of those of danger of the single story, but having different perspectives. So I'm focusing on maybe a lens and it's too narrow, and someone helps me and sends me an item from a different perspective, like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I haven't thought about things that way. And it's just, you know, and it's quick because the Motes aren't over 90 seconds, which that's genius because we don't want to listen to stuff forever anyways. But yeah, just getting all of that to be helpful as we're sharing these resources. So I want to take a moment and like learn and grab ideas from your amazing brains as well. So here's a Wakelet. There's going to be a link in the chat as well, or you could utilize the QR code. It'll look a little different on your phone, but both ways will get you there. So we're going to get to our Wakelet, and I've asked you to share ideas with me. And then it's accessible for everyone. So everyone's going to get to see these awesome, amazing ideas. And we're just going to be able to grow our knowledge and get some more going on here. Okay, so I'm just watching a little bit to see if we get there. Okay, so I've got some steps on there. You're going to click your plus with that link that was given to you. You don't have to be signed up for Wakelet to be able to collaborate. That's another positive of it. So I left an example there. I went into a different account of mine that is not connected with Wakelet and just said boo. It said added by K. So it's not like an official anything. So you can still add your thoughts here. Okay, are we good with adding into it? I want to just make sure things are rocking and rolling well.
Hi, Katie. The presentation is wonderful so far, of course. Would you be able to just demonstrate how people might be able to add some content to the Wakelet?
Yeah, let me go ahead and grab the other link. I might have to, let me see. I think I might have to go into another screen because it's my Wakelet account there, but we can make that happen real quick. So we're going to test this live. If it works in what I'm already logged into, or I need to go in as another personality. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go into a different one, guys. Just a moment. Oh, that was the mess I was trying to hide. Okay, we got this.
It's all going to be edited anyway, so
yay! Okay.
When it goes onto the playlist, it will just look like it was a super slick move from your slide deck to the Wakelet. But it's a wonderful idea. And that's another great tool, and we're actually looking for ways in which people are using sticky notes with Wakelet collections at the moment. So really cool to be sharing this. Thank you, Katie.
Oh, so perfect. So we saw the explanation of a Wakelet that just happened to be infographics. It could be a Wakelet on anything. I'm currently curating a Wakelet about some of the privileged individuals that made rules against others during the Olympics. And having students investigate that, a lot of things came up with accessibility, gender, and race. So here I went into a different account. I am not signed into Wakelet. I do not have Wakelet attached to this, but did ask me for a name. I could put whatever there.
Just so you know, Katie, just so you know, we see a white screen at the moment.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the StreamYard. Thank you so much for letting me know.
Of course.
I believe that's because I changed.
So what we can do is if you don't mind, I can remove your screen from the stream, and then you could try to reshare that if you.
Thank you. Let's do that. No, I did share my whole computer. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, and thank you guys for just like hanging out as we like fiddle with this. I was like, it's a little bit different here navigating, but it's all good.
And I did put the link, the Wakelet code into the chat, so it is there for people to be clicking and participating with.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to reshare. That's what we learned in distance learning, right? You dictate and narrate everything you're talking about, what you're doing. I'm going to reshare, but this time we're going to get like the whole shabam, right?
Yeah, I can see your screen there.
Okay.
Oh.
Here we go. No, I need to get towards everything because I was just doing the one. Hopefully this works. We'll see.
I think it's that so someone has actually someone's just shared. So I think that people were struggling to click on the edit, but yeah, just go ahead and tap edit, guys.
Okay, so can we see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I may have forgot that one step. So thank you. Thank you. Yes, you before. Yeah, that's my bad. Okay, so we'll edit this part out. Or no, we can leave it. It's real. I've been teaching for a few decades and, I still got to make sure I'm specific. So thank you for that. I went to click on the plus. I'm like, yeah, you're looking for a plus, aren't you? She's like, oh my gosh, what is she talking about? There's no plus. So yeah, click the edit first. Major apologies there. So click the edit there. And then you will see a plus and we'll be ready to rock and roll here. Okay, so now under your use ideas, click the plus. And then I always want to type right here. Don't do that. It doesn't work. And if we take a moment to like pause and read it, it'll tell you to paste a web address. Well, if I'm typing, it's not a web address. The add text icon, see that one I got because I've screwed it up several times, is this one right here. So if I click that, now I can go ahead and type a wonderful idea, okay? And then once it's done, I can press done. Okay, and there's the fabulous idea that was just added. Okay, you got that right. Super fabulous idea. Okay, so and this will stay live. So just continue to add your thoughts, ideas, and I'm one of those. My brain just like gets working from other people's ideas. So perhaps there was something I shared with you, and it's sparking an idea for you. So go ahead and use that thought and keep on building here. Okay, and then can I get confirmation? Are we seeing my presentation again?
We are, Katie.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we shared some awesome stuff right there. And now I wanted to talk about this a bit and keep that Wakelet guy open. I'm not just doing a one and done thing, okay? So don't close that tab. We will be revisiting it for just a moment here. Okay, so some other big ideas. Digital citizenship is huge. And thank goodness people are starting to realize it's not just about being kind online. No, it's so much more than that. And media and information literacy is part of that as well. So there's more ideas. And I'm sure you guys have some, maybe you've already used them. So go ahead and just be adding them to that Wakelet as we continue here. So questions, this one's been like really fun for me because there's a time limit on there. So students are looking at a website on any given topic and they press their Mote and start recording and they have to generate questions, as many as they can before the end of the timer. Now, could they choose to redo it and get more questions? Yes, they could. Having a verbal explanation of why the website is credible or not. And some of us, if we've been around a while, website evaluation used to be like sometimes a page or 2 pages of filling in stuff about all these issues with it and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it's the blah, blah, blah that it's blah, 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 blah. So sorry if that's something that you're doing, but when we shift and think about like real world, I don't spend 15 minutes deciding if a website is quality or not. And I'm not going to, and I'm not going to share that with my students. So getting them to like be able to look at things real quickly, looking at that author or whatnot, and then having a quick response. Even at the beginning, I wouldn't even tell them to look at credentials of the author. I would just like, hey, tell me why or why not we should use this website and see what they come up with. And when you give them like open-endedness like that and let them really start thinking, you're going to be surprised. And the things they come up with, usually they're like harder than you would be on, the integrity of the website. So super amazing. I always love learning from my students. Visual literacy. We're in this world of like how easy it is to manipulate everything. Like before, when all we had was Photoshop, like that was the best thing and you pay for it. So everyone didn't have it. But now there's all these amazing tools. I've used Remove BG to put me ringside at a game sitting right next to Taylor Swift. And it's so easy to do that. So having them look at images and have that explanation too of like whether or not they think it's real, what they're noticing there, the pixelation or whatever it is. And even looking at visual literacy as far as what do you notice and wonder. So notice and wonder works all grades, all subjects. I love it because notice and wonder, guess what? That's fact and opinion. That's also evidence and analysis. So the words we label it might shift a little bit with what we're doing or what grade level, but visual literacy and really looking at the differences of things is super, super key. And then that's also a close reading. Like, what do you see? What's left off? We've got this image. What's outside of that shot? And again, they're limited to that 90 seconds. So they're going to have to really evaluate what they're sharing. So even though the sticky Mote and all things Mote is voice, because, oh my goodness, you know, we've had a few of us talking about how we're good typers, but I can definitely talk a lot faster than I can type. So getting those ideas out before they forget. And then I always call it like there's a problem with their circuitry. And I just use that analogy. The brain has these fabulous ideas. I would be listening to my students, and they would say all this great stuff like, okay, fabulous, write that. Walk away, go help someone else. Come back, the paper doesn't have their fabulous idea. Like, what's the problem? Well, it somehow just doesn't work. That's that circuitry issue, like coming down their arm and changing modalities just doesn't happen quickly with every brain. And it doesn't mean there's a problem with the brain. It means there's a problem with the way we're letting them explain themselves or share their ideas. So yes, all of that stuff with the sticky Mote. We've got image bias, and that's the thing we're going to look at in just a moment. So I'm going to pause there. Boolean search explanation, even if you don't want to use the word Boolean, but that's when you're using like quotation marks in your search. Like if I want to look up myself, I'm going to do quotations, Katie McNamara quotations. So it tells my search engine, I want those two words together. If I just do Katie McNamara, it'll pull up Katie and it will pull up McNamara. Okay, so I do a challenge where I'm having students trying to narrow down their search results, giving them the warning. Now, granted, I teach high school, so sometimes I am a little sarcastic, not in a mean way, but like, okay, so when my students get a result back saying they have 30,000 hits, like that's a flashing warning neon sign that, we didn't do a very good job at searching. So how are you going to narrow that down? So having them really like focus on using those, but I don't want them just to like do it and get it down. Like sometimes they've even done it incorrectly and they're like, oh yes, I only have 5 hits now. Yes, I won. No, okay, explain to me what was going on. And when they do the explanation, that's the part where you're able to intercede and know when to come in. Like that's why math forever, I hope it never changes. They want you to show the work so that we can get that answer at the end. Like if you did 3 + 2 is the problem and the answer is 6 that was written, it's like, okay, the student like twisted the plus sign and multiplied it. Not a big deal, but now I can kind of see their process. And if it's a multi-step problem, that's one piece of what they flip-flopped around. When you see the work, you know how to go back and best help. So also right there with the Boolean search and anything, just amazing. Accessibility, I am really huge about accessibility and all the people. And I think shifting to so many things online, it was really eye-opening about who gets left out and why. So I'm raising the bar with my students too. I want them when they're looking at things online to evaluate accessibility, looking at even a website or whatever it is, even with social media, but looking at that first website and even noticing the color differences or the shade of the background to the shade of the text. And that's even a base level accessibility thing. So we are upping the bar there, making them evaluate that everyone really can digest this information, notice it, interact with it. Because guess what? These kiddos are going to grow up and be creating this stuff. So if we can like get them a little bit altruistic and think beyond themselves, I don't know, just another way for Sticky Mote to help us solve the world. Okay, so we're going to go back to that Wakelet. I'm going to go ahead and do an example with you first. So this is doing an image bias. Okay, so what I've done here, just go ahead and Google a topic. So I have homeless is my topic, and then I shifted it to images. So just looking at the first 6 images, and I can kind of see what's going on here. I've got my Mote extension. So go ahead and click there. Hi, this is Katie McNamara. So I'm noticing with these first 6 images that there's this like, I don't know, the sturdiness that's going along with the homelessness and all this just like stuff. And they always have a grocery cart. How do people get away with taking grocery carts? Is that why I never have one when I'm trying to get my milk? And they go on, but like really doing that notice and wonder with the images that are there at the beginning. What is being said? Because we've talked about the TLDR. Well, guess what, too? We also do that with images. So they're not going to keep on going and going and going and seeing what's coming up later. Okay, so with that Wakelet, I would love for you to take a moment. I know we can't go too long here, or maybe it's something we do later. I know John will probably tell me, hey, Kitty, come on. But plug in a topic. I don't care what it is. Look at those first few images. What bias is that getting across? And I would love for you to go ahead and create a sticky note and then copy that link and put it in our Wakelet for us. And then we'll be curating this and everyone can just like keep growing and learning from each other. Okay, another little thing about me is like, if it doesn't transfer out of the classroom, I'm not going to use it. Like, I don't care how great something is. If it's not purposeful beyond those 4 walls, nope, not happening in my life. So guess what? Sticky note also works in personal life. So sometimes, you know, I'm not right next to the person that I want to do something with or whatnot. So what we've got over here, that's a screenshot of a message I sent to my husband. We were talking about, I think it was Kung Pao chicken. Someone wants to get into there, you can figure out what it was. But we're like, oh my goodness, I want to cook this, but I want it more authentic. I don't want it to like dismiss the qualities of the culture. I want it to really be real. Like, okay, so I found a recipe. We weren't together. I was at work. I'm on the computer. I know how to send from my email to a cell phone, a text message. So I grabbed my Mote and sent it to him. And this is what it's going to look like. And he'll just like click on it. And so I was able to share with him, hey, here's the recipe, like what we were talking about. Here's what we need to buy. And oh, by the way, can you make this Thursday? Thursday would be a really great day to have this. So just sharing all that information. There's tons of other ideas right there just to, yeah, communicate with each other. And sorry, Android users, I'm totally Android. I like things that play well with everything else. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's an app for iOS, not for Android, but I've been promised it's coming. Not an ETA exact, but that it is coming. Okay, so definitely transfers to the personal life. And then you have the option when you're editing to edit the transcription. So we saw how you have transcriptions there too. You can make sure with your editing, if you talk fast, even like me, there was one where it says like toy instead of totally. I left it there so you could see it. But you can always go back and edit your transcriptions. And then you want to, in your activity end, title everything. It's like, well, why? Well, because that makes it easier to reshare. If I have someone else, like I already have someone that's already asked me about making infographics, I can just go back here, grab my link, and bam, it's ready to rock and roll. And sorry, ready to rock and roll. See, I talked too fast there for a moment. And then we just saw how the Notepad awesomeness works. I can go ahead and just hold that Mote icon down in my Google Classroom or in a comment feature, and it's going to come back to all of my different activities. And if I've titled it, I know what it is. So here's the Daughter of Deep Silence. If it says in Google Slides, like, oh my gosh, I have a few things of that. So I have no idea what it is until I go and I play it. I don't want to play everything. I want to just get to it. And then it's like, but wait, there's more. You have noticed and unnoticed. So that's how they phrased it to be like it was heard and it hasn't been heard yet. So you can check on that as well. Okay. So I love sharing this, just the excitement. We just started back at school last week on Wednesday, and my students are already super excited about utilizing Mote in all of its capacities. And I want to know what you are doing as well. So please, please, please continue the conversation. It really is like tech support forever. There's my Twitter there, whatever works for you. Would love to hear all the successes. And even if there's struggles, like, yeah, let's go through the struggle together, friends. Thank you.
Katie, that was absolutely brilliant. I hope you can hear me keep giving you a round of applause there. That was really, really good. That was so packed full of really useful information for all sorts of people that are involved in different aspects of education. So thank you for sharing so generously. And the slide deck is awesome. I've had a couple of comments like about the access to the slide deck. I know that you were keen on sharing. If you'd like to drop that into the chat or to drop those links into the chat, then that would be great. And I know that people would love to continue the learning in that way. And I do apologize that initially that you were having some technical glitches there, but I don't think that took anything away. And there were lots of very favorable comments about this is what learning and learning together live is all about. So thank you. And really nice to see. I love the example of the images there when you were coming through and using that as a great place. And then to communicate with the personal level as well was a fun thing to do. So thank you, Katie.
Well, thank you for like this opportunity. It was like, wait, what? You want to hear from me? Like, so thank you. And I'm so happy it was well received. It really is like just voice is power. Always.
Yeah. There you go. What a tagline for the next MoteCon, eh? Voice is power. But yeah, Katie, we are going to be having to jump onto our next session now. But please stick around and kind of join in with the chat we have going on YouTube and over on Twitter and other socials too. I'm sure everyone would love to be able to interact with you and continue, as you say, continue the learning. Both there, but also on that excellent idea of a Wakelet page. So thank you very much, Katie. Goodbye for now. So we are now moving on to session number, let me get this right, session number 4 of our second day. So this is someone that I've worked with on a couple of projects before and have done some work with, and know is one of the really instrumental figures in the global Google Educator group. So really excited he's able to join us today. He is an ISTE certified educator, a Google for Education certified innovator and trainer and coach. He is the founder and leader of the GEG Minnesota metro area, a GEG mentor for the US Midwest. He is a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert and an Adobe education leader, passionate about leveraging technology to make the daily life of educators more efficiently, their teaching more engaging, and their lives more fulfilling. And leaving the most important one until the end, he is also a Mote ambassador. So really pleased to be welcoming on to the MoteCon stage here, Rick. Rick, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. We're good. We're we're in a bit of a rhythm now, in like a MoteCon rhythm. So speaking of rhythm, that's a bit of a sort of tenuous link into the music classroom there. Yeah, I try. So what I'll do, Rick, is I will share your deck to the stream.
Perfect.
And I will just slip away, leave you to the presentation, and I'll join you at the end. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Over to you then, Rick.
Thank you. Yeah, as mentioned, I'm Rick Ballew. It says Frederick because I want to sound fancier when I do that. And that intro, wow. I mean, I wrote it, but I sure do sound important, don't I? Anyway, I'm going to talk about how you can use Mote in your music classroom. The nice thing about Mote is it records, and it does record your voice, but it records everything, all the sounds. So ways that I've used it before is in assessment, then taking those assessments, making a portfolio. And finally, I want to do a project with you live that I've kind of been toying with for a while. There's 2 things I want to give a shot to, and we're going to do it together and see if it works out. But let's go ahead and move on to demonstration time. Woohoo. We're going to start over here with a little deck I kind of made already. And this is how I've used it in the past for assessment. As mentioned, I'm all those fancy ed tech things, but my day job, if you will, is teaching 5th grade instrumental music. And the way I do it is, especially in a pandemic, we couldn't play in person. So I would have to send out my assignments and the students would get them and then they'd record themselves and turn them in. One of the ways to do that and make it really easy for me to grade and also for them to find everything and ultimately for them to all show off is by using a slide deck with the Mote extension. So here's an example of a song that I gave to one of my clarinet students. This is a clarinet. And so what I would do is I would give them their song and ask them to record themselves with Mote. So what the student would do is they would get this slide deck, they'd make a copy, right? Because it would go through Google Classroom and each person would get a copy in the clarinet class. They're going to click Mote. They're going to click to record themselves and then they're going to just play the song. move that out of the way. Usually they give me a long diatribe about how they didn't practice, blah, blah, blah. But as you can see, the students don't have enough time to really go on and on about why it didn't work out this week. I'll close that because we don't need to hear it. But this is what they would do when they're ready. So they would record themselves playing that amazing, amazing song that we all know and love, Rolling Along. They could then listen back to it themselves and see, like, I don't know, like if they made some horrible mistake, they just go ahead and hit trash and try it again, which is fantastic because now they're doing some self-reflection on their own work. But as soon as they think it's good enough, they're going to go ahead and click insert. And then when it comes in, they're going to attach it and then move it around. I often had the kids found themselves that they could recolor and do all sorts of fun stuff. Change the icon. They all found that out on their own. I didn't have too many putting their own thing in. I would have loved to have seen them put their face on it or something like that, because you can change what the icon is. But as soon as it's ready, the students would do that. And this was what was cool about it. Like I mentioned before over here, this would be an assessment. They turned it in, I'd grade them, listen to them. And then I can, when I return their work, just record my response. Hey, that was great. Good work on that clarinetting. Excellent clarinetting work. Or whatever I would say. And the nice thing is you have your Mote bank. And if I were saying that to all my clarinet players, notice I didn't say their name, I could then plop this into just about any one of them. And then I would probably have it be a different color. I would use my face as it for my response. And then I just include that there, and they'd know that they'd been graded when they see my big face on it. And what's cool is I would then give them at the end all of their best work. So for example, let's say they did well on this, and I would then put together a slide deck with all of their best recordings. So here's making it a portfolio. Let's have them do this one. This one's a classic. I think you all know and love it, called Hot Cross Buns. So they would then record themselves again. Students would then have now all of their songs that they've recorded throughout the year in a slide deck with recordings on each slide. I would usually take out any like stuff I said to it. So all they have is their fantastic recordings and performances, and they can take that with them as long as they have access to the Google Drive through my district. They would have access to their recordings. But this is just a great way to not only do assessment, because they would record themselves, it was also a great way for them to save everything, and it's all in one slide deck and easy for them to find. So that was one, both assessment and creation of a portfolio that I like to do with Mote. But here's something that I started putting together for my general music teachers. Sometimes students, when they're working with notes, if they're singing a song and want to record themselves singing, it's hard for them to find the right pitch. By simply doing a Google search, finding one of these, keyboard, you can record each of the pitches and assign them to each of the notes. So this is something that I know some of the classroom music teachers were doing with Mote. So here's an example. I don't have a piano, but I have the next best thing, a fabulous melodica. So let's go ahead and just play a C. So it'll create the audio. You're going to go ahead and take this guy and just plop it there. It's not letting me grab it. Oh, don't go over there. Go over here. You're too little. Anyway, the idea here is then you could insert it, but it's, for whatever reason, it's not letting me grab it, but it's right about where we want it to be. Let's do another one. Let's do the next note. Creating audio. But now we can hear, right? And then their next note. And you can do that for the entire keyboard, if necessary, for your students to then be able to find the pitch they're looking for when they're recording something. And here's the best part. You can do that with pretty much any instrument, because again, Mote is going to record all the sounds you're going to make. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about, and it is basically creating a looping station that you can have your students create on their own. So I have access to a bunch of random instruments around here. So I'm going to ask in the chat. Yeah, Katrine Vance also noticed that the Mote pitch is a C as well. So just in the comments as I'm looking through them, what instrument would you like to hear? I've got a clarinet. I've got my melodica. I also have an oud. Here's what I'm thinking I would like to do. In the Build a Band, what you can create is you can create kind of a looping station for your students. When the slides are jam-packed, I had to format options and resize and increase manually. Thanks, Sue. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a band. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, and I'm going to look for an image. Like I said, I have access to an oud. You're probably wondering what an oud is, so let's go ahead and search the web. And what is an oud? Probably going to bring up a bunch of different things. That's not what I want. Oud instrument. That's what we're looking for. It's going to be fussy about what it is, isn't it? All right, let's call it. Let's just use this one. It's not exactly right, but let's just use that. So we're going to take it, we're going to insert it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a bunch of different instruments, put them on, and what the students can then do, clonk thud, what the students can then do is create their own version of like an ensemble. So let's go ahead and just record a beat with our oud. So this will be something that the kids click on when they want to start their beat. So that's what's going to go in here when they want to do their oud sound. Let's put it there. I don't think I like that color. Let's go to recolor. Let's pick, oh, that color. That kind of matches it, right? Then let's pick another instrument. What else do we have access to? Ooh, I have a shaker. So let's look up shaker. Let's search the web. Let's type in shaker. Wow, I was not specific. Let's do shaker instruments. None of these look exactly right, but they're only going to hear it. They're not going to know. So let's go ahead and stick that in. And then let's record our shaker sound. Notice I didn't do it the same amount of time. Now the students are going to have to, when they're putting together their Build-A-Band, they're going to have to decide how they want to layer these things and how they want to press the buttons. Let's click recolor again, because I feel like, what goes with this? That kind of, right? Let's make these instruments a little smaller. So we want to add some more. Is there anything anyone wants to hear in the chat? Any sort of instruments they want to hear? I might have access to it. Shout something out. Gotta wait. There's a longer wait time when I'm waiting for comments via this because of the lag. Anyone have anything in particular? Didgeridoo. Did I hear didgeridoo? I think I did. So what you can then do, violin. Sorry, Mote, I don't have access to a violin right now. And that is for everyone's benefit because no one wants to hear that. So let's go ahead and insert an image of didgeridoo. That one's cool. Let's go with that one. Ooh, that's clearly a drawn one. So hold on one second. I'm still here. You just can't see me. All right, so here is the didgeridoo. Let's go ahead and record this one. So now we've got, oh, ukulele. I do have one, it's just not in tune. So let's go ahead and insert this guy. And again, I feel like we love our Mote purple, but I don't know that it fits with the vibe of these slides, right? So let's go with, already did brown. Already did gray. Fine, that one. All right, so now what your students can do is you can create something like this or have them create it, and then they get the chance to put stuff together. Oh, forgot that you can't play them all at the same time. But so this is a great way for them to put stuff together. And what you could do if you really want to get fussy, if they want to hear them all at the same time. Oh, wrong one. Boop. Duplicate. Duplicate. So So this would be a fun way for the kids to be able to put a bunch of stuff together and record their own Build-A-Band. So also, it's a great way if you, say, have access to a bunch of different random weirdo instruments and you don't have them in the classroom. You can put something like this together and have them get a chance to hear it. So this is the point where I would move on to this and say, are there any questions? Oh, no, wait. Are there any questions? So these are just a couple of the ways I've seen Mote used and had the chance to use Mote in the classroom for the music classroom. Are there any things you folks can think of that they could do? One thing that I've seen that I thought was really fun is they took those poetry words, put a bunch of, I didn't have a chance to get my slides together with it, but the poetry words, and then recorded the poetry words, and then it's a great way to put like song lyrics together, and you can mix and match that way. But anyway, at this point, I'll turn it over to John. John, are there any questions or anything?
Rick, that was so good. There was there were just lots of oohs and ahs and kind of comments of amazement when you were doing that that combined band Mote piece at the end. I'm sure.
I'd never tried it before, so I'm glad it works.
It worked really well. And I was thinking as well, just you did with the duplication of tabs, you could also, there are 1 or 2 extensions that allow you to automatically resize your screens into like a 2x2. So that would be another way of doing that as well. But that was such a great presentation. We had language teachers as well. And as you correctly said, that there were people who'd be interested in the English side of things and looking at how we might be able to use similar functionality of Mote for slides, perhaps with poetry too. So yeah, really, really cool. In terms of questions, those were sort of thin on the ground. I think that you covered everything super comprehensively. I do apologize coming out with a violin comment and not the didgeridoo.
Oh, well.
It was, you know, it was one of those things. Do I go violin? Do I go didgeridoo? And I chose the wrong option.
Well, it's clearly a coin toss. So yeah,
I mean, they're very closely aligned. But yes, but Rick, thank you so much for that. There's lots of excitement on socials, on Twitter and Facebook as well. So it definitely be worth your while jumping over there, just in case there's any questions perhaps there that we aren't quite picking up yet on here on YouTube, I should say. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your Saturday. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and stick around for the final hour of MoteCon 2021. And perfect. All right, Rick.
Thank you, sir. This was fun.
Thank you so much. Okay, everyone. So we have just 2 or 3 minutes until we're going to be welcoming on our penultimate presentation of the day. Something that I'm really looking forward to. It's about using Mote in the language classroom, but also actually for a wider purpose, and how we might be able to use Mote to support the different languages spoken in our school communities and in our educational networks. So what I will do is I'm going to drop a little slide deck onto the screen here, and I'm just going to say it's a good opportunity to take a couple of minute break to stretch your legs, and we'll see you back here at 4 p.m. Eastern. Thanks very much. So here we are. We are in the final hour of MoteCon 2021. Really excited about this, the penultimate session, and the speaker that we have, I know, is going to be unbelievably inspirational for all of us as we learn and share with her. So this particular speaker has 21 years of classroom experience, has taught English, history, ELD, yearbook, journalism, webpage development, and even science at Compton Junior High with the Bakersfield City School District. Technology has changed a lot, and she's done a remarkable job staying on top of everything. She is a Google certified innovator, was also a coach and mentor, and is the founder and creator of Slides Yearbook. So head over to slidesyearbook.com to find out all about Jennifer Scott. And Jennifer Scott is who I'm going to be bringing up to the MoteCon stage right now. So Jennifer, hello and welcome to MoteCon.
Thank you. I have loved this experience.
There we go. I have as well. I have to say, into my 6th hour now, and it is just as good as the very first second. And I know that the momentum is only going to keep going now with your presentation. So if you're able to share your screen, if you just go ahead and push that up, and I will share it to the stream here on YouTube.
Let's see if it's going. And you tell me, are we good?
Yeah, I can see it. So what I'll do is I will share that to the stream. I will then leave it to you, and I'll join you after the presentation to, I'm sure, celebrate a wonderful 25 minutes of learning. All right? Okay,
All right.
Here we go.
And I got to tell you, now, am I doing this right? Oh, I need to do this. Yes?
There we go.
Okay. Now, I happen to love music, so thank you, Rick, for your presentation. My son plays the euphonium, and he's really good, and he is now a freshman in his high school, and their band was playing today, and oh my gosh, going from Mote to there, back here to go see him again, it was fabulous. All right, so my name is Jennifer Scott, and one thing we have learned from this entire, 6 hours, 8 hours did you guys say, is that Mote is teacher feedback, yes? And we have even learned that Mote is about student learning. But better yet, Mote is language learning. Now, I happen to be a second language learner. I studied at La Universidad de Santiago de Compostela in Spain. And you would think that language learning was this, I have a book, I have a teacher, and I learn. But that's not true, because language is communication. Language is going with your friends down the river, whitewater rafting, having these wonderful conversations. And then you want to get into this philosophy. You want to use this academic language, and you have to improve and remember that vocabulary, and that communication will help you in places like when I went to Morelia, when I went to Hermosillo, when I went to DFA, where I was part of the Google Innovator Academy with MEC 16. Y fui otra vez in 2018 as a coach. So here is the big question. How might we use Mote to promote language learning? Because you and everyone at my school site at Compton Junior High School, we want to reach all of our students. And you know what? Our students want to be reached. They want to communicate. They want to learn. So I just moved back to ELD. And teaching ELD, last night I sat down and I went through the statistics. Majority of my students are somewhat developed in their language. They're really, really good at speaking. They're okay at listening and writing, but they need to improve on their reading. So how do we do this? So first of all, I want to come back real quick and check in because I want to make sure people are there. Is anyone there? Can you hear me? Can I get a hello? Yes. All right. So I wanted to come back and just check that, I'm not on mute because, that happens. So how do we teach reading and use Mote? Let's continue. So if you haven't already been here, I highly suggest that you go to the Mote website and go to the hub. And when you scroll down, you're going to find this idea about creative writing with Mote for Google Slides. I like this idea. Now, my Google Innovator project happens to be, graphic design, teaching students graphic design so they can create their own yearbooks. So I want to take this a step further, and I want to teach you how to create an illustrated book so that your students can create an illustrated book. So if you haven't noticed, there have been some updates to Google. I happen to be in what's called the theme. And in the theme, you can now put placeholders. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine the placeholders with Docs to Slides by Schoolitics with Mote. This right here is a story that a student wrote. I started it for her. She finished it. This was done on April 22nd, 2020, and she just took off on this story. It was called The Cure. And what I really like about this story is the author has the characters research COVID-19. Not only that, they find a cure in April 2020. Oh, that would have been nice. That would have been so nice. So this is what we're going to do. This right here is an example of a template I made about 3 hours ago. And you're going to notice that I've changed the theme. I have a placeholder with some writing, a different placeholder, and blank. But how do I create this? Let me show you how. I delete the first slide. It just nice and neat. Now I'm going to slide, edit theme. I'm going to go to the theme page. This is theme and this is layouts. And I want to change the font. I like the font Era Sans Light. And now I'm going to, this is called the section header page. And what I want is I want to duplicate. And I believe you were taught during the session yesterday that duplicate is Control D. So I'm duplicating that layout. I'm going to come back and I'm going to shorten this. I want to justify it to the left, and the font should be 24. Next, I want to look for the placeholders. I can put in an image, but I can put in an image placeholder. I'm going to go oval. Now, the reason why I duplicated this is because I want to create 2 more of them. I'm going to go ahead, and I believe I said this was going to be 24. I would like to align it to the left. And I'm going to make this one tall. I can always come back here and do the same thing. I don't think it's necessary. We'll find out. Trial and error, yes? And then let's duplicate again, Control D. And this time, let's put the picture on the opposite side, the placeholder. There we go. Once again, I'm going to go to the image icon, go to image placeholder, and this time I'm going to go with rectangle. Kind of looks nice. If I wanted to distribute this a little bit better, I can go to arrange and I can center this vertically. All right, so this is blank, except I now have those layouts. And let's come back here. I am going to take this link, copy it. And not on this story. We're going to come back to that. I know you saw some names on there. Just hold on. I'm going to put it right here. And go Docs, create Google Slides. I'm just going to click OK. And look at this. This is gorgeous. Now, I kind of made a mistake because this is what you have to know. Every time you have an enter, you have a new slide. And I wanted to show how that worked. So I have the cure here and I have who wrote it here. So let's go ahead and fix that and put that on this page. Now the students can do graphic design. Now, I'm going to do this for them the first time, but in the end, I absolutely want students creating their own templates because it's not about the teacher doing the work. It's about the student. And now we can go through the pages. We can switch the layouts. So here is one. And oddly, my other layouts. Oh, here it is right there. I know what I'm doing. Okay, so layout. And we were doing the section header. That looks nice, doesn't it? I like making mistakes so people know that they can make mistakes too. And because that's part of life. When the student goes through and changes the layout, they can also click on the image placeholder and we can go search for pictures. So the keyword on here is laboratory, if I can spell it correctly. Let's see what we can get for a picture. And now the student has a picture to go with their writing. Once again, this page right here, I have to change the layout because the writing, that paragraph happens to be really huge. So let me change that layout. That looks so much better. And let me come here. Mikey Jalissa's best friend was with her at the moment. They started to experiment and research COVID-19. The student can click, search the web, and let's put COVID-19 as the picture. And let's go right here. So the students did the following. Wrote a story. With me, they created a template, and then now they have their own illustrated story that they can share. So where does Mote come into this? I would expect students to go to Mote and record themselves. Jalissa, a voice called on the intercom. You are needed in the laboratory. Insert. And the students read the story that we wrote together, that they wrote with a partner, and we practice those reading skills. So let me check on you guys so far. What do you guys think about this?
They've been nothing but blown away by that. It's another wonderful app smash, Jennifer, as well. Getting one of my favorite tools of Google Workspace, Google Slides, but also that brand new add-on by Schoolitics. And then and I hate to say, but sort of saving the best for last there, bringing in Mote there as making it all just that
it just comes in all together.
Voice powered masterpiece there. Yeah, this is amazing. There we go. Cool.
But we're not done because we're going to do math.
There's more.
Yes, because this whole thing about ELD, it's not just helping them in their English class. It's about helping them in math and science and history. So what can we do there?
And what can we do there?
Well, let's do some more app smashing back with Docs to Slides by Schoolitics. Let me show you this.
If you share your screen, I will push it.
Do you see it?
I see it. There we go.
And do you see all these names I wrote down? Do you recognize any of those names?
One or two. Yeah, one or two I do there. The first seven I'm very familiar with.
Now, in Schoolitics has this rosters to slides because Alice Keeler is working with them. And if you ever go into the code for rosters to slide, it says for Jennifer, and she means me. So when I click on assign slide, what's going to happen is all of those names are going to get their very own slide with their names that they are assigned to. So now we're going to do this. Remember that masters to slides? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into slide, go down to edit theme, and do this. Isn't this gorgeous right here, this template? I'm going to put this into the hub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this template. I'm going to come back and I'm going to paste it. I'm also going to put in a subtitle placeholder. I'm going to do a second time. Subtitle placeholder. Did you guys see what happened over on the left-hand side? Every single student now has an assignment. So Will is A, and he's going to write a math problem. It's really hard. He's going to write 2 + 2. And then you know what? John is going to come here, and the answer is 4. But
the answer is 4.
Katie is going to be my third person. Do you see the directions here? I had to learn this the hard way. You need to come up to the top and click on the Mote icon. This came up for me and worked. But I had to put in these extra directions because students will have to accept permissions.
That's
There's a point where they have to physically check mark what they're supposed to do, what they're giving permission to. It's not just click on your name. It is check this, and move on. And I learned that the hard way, and I'm supposed to know this stuff. So Katie is going to explain the Mote. 2 + 2 is 4. If I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, I have 4 animals. Take a moment, insert it. And the students can actually hear it right here. So we have the math question, we have the answer, and we have the explanation up at the top. The idea is language is not learned in isolation. It's not the student, a book, and a teacher. It's the student plus students. Now, I would like to show you guys something super cool. So let me actually move forward and find that presentation again, which seemed, oh, that's why. There we go. So here are all those directions. I'll make sure to share these and blog about them. But now I want to talk about the unlimited Mote, because we're going to do a pilot and we're going to start it right after Labor Day. And it's going to be using the unlimited version of Mote. What our students are going to do is they're going to have Mote on their computers. So we know that a teacher can do this. So this is one of my sample classrooms. And I used a voice recording. I spoke in English and I translated into Spanish. I also have students who are from Yemen. I just clicked on a sticky note, which Katie talked about today. The directions are in English, but my students who only read Arabic can read it in their own language. So we're doing this for science class. We're doing this for history class. Now, let me go back one page. I don't know if you noticed this, but down at the very bottom of the Mote page, you have the ability to change the language. And when you change the language at the bottom, which I need to go back one slide, if you guys will give me a moment. Wow. You guys still there? Oh, it's taking a picture because that's what my computer does. I can change this into Spanish and my students can do the following. My students can talk to their science teacher, can talk to their history teacher in their primary language. Teacher, today I learned the quadratic equation because math is very concrete, and what you learn in your and what I learned in my other school, I'm going to know here, and I'm going to say it in my primary language in Spanish or in Arabic, and then I'm going to transcribe it. Then I'm going to translate it to English for my teacher. So my teacher knows that I am learning. And then my teacher, who doesn't speak Arabic, who doesn't speak Spanish, is going to be able to speak in English, transcribe it into English, and then translate it into that student's native language. Students can continue learning content as they learn English. And so I'm here for any questions because I believe I have 2 minutes to spare.
Jennifer, that was brilliant. You got more than a couple of minutes if you'd like there. I think that there were, lots of questions actually coming out of when you were explaining the features of transcription and the translation ones also.
I'm thinking I should demonstrate that.
Yeah, if you have the capacity to do so, if you wouldn't mind pulling your screen up.
Not a problem. I think right now I already have in Spanish, so I'm going to show you how I put it back into English first.
Great. Okay, if you could, then that'd be awesome. And I'll stay on the stream as well, just if there's any other questions that come in live.
All right. So this is my school account. And I'm going to come over to Mote. Down in the bottom, so I'm on a mote.com page. And down at the very bottom are my choices for language. I have English, obviously. And of course, English and UK English are slightly different. We have Spanish, we have French, we have Chinese, we have Arabic. And so I'm going to put it back into English right now. I'm going to go back up to the top. And you're going to see that this is in English, yes? Now let me come back down to the bottom here. And I'm going to put it into Spanish. Come to the top, and I have it in Spanish. We have configuración y ayuda, and we can change the language. Spanish is up at the top. I'm going to click on it, and now it's going to be in Spanish. So these are my fake students, all my G Trainer and G accounts. If I wanted to leave Hannah, if I were speaking in Spanish to Hannah, for example, I could actually come right here. And actually, it would say done. I think I need to refresh the page. Let me cancel that. Because that technically, if I changed it into Spanish already, let me verify. That's in Spanish. It is translating, and it's in Spanish. So let me check this again. Hello.
This is a great demonstration, Jennifer.
And if I go into edit it, oh, I'm going to go post up. I learned this the hard way too. Click here and then hit this. I can edit it. Notice that it's up here in Spanish. Thank you. I can go ahead and make changes to it as needed. And I am going to, it's in Spanish, translate. I can translate it into any of those languages. If you saw that list, I am going to save it. And then I'm going to leave it. And when I post it, the student's going to see it. Let me go ahead and put it back into English again. And then I will take any more questions. So English, up at the top, I'm going to make sure that my settings and help reflect that. And then I'm going to refresh. If I want to leave a translation, I can leave a translation for students here so they can understand me. I'm going to edit. I can leave a translation for students here so they can understand me. And I need to refresh so it's back in the other language, but this says translate.
Yeah.
It says save, and this says save as.
And this is super cool. Like, I think it's important to let people know as well that we any language additions that we make are totally driven by feedback. So if you think that there's a language missing, please give us a shout out. That's actually why. So we've been doing I would say community driven process of internationalization. So trying to make sure that the extension, that the app as well, so the iOS app, is going to be as accessible as possible, regardless of the language that that someone speaks. So we've been doing that with our Mote teachers, with the Mote ambassadors, and actually with the wider community. Just so that's how it's all happened. And just as Jennifer demonstrated there, you can change the way that you interact with Mote just by going to any page on mote.com, scrolling all the way down to the bottom and just tapping on that globe icon at the bottom, and then you'll be able to choose your language of choice. And the actual process of once you've got the transcription, just as long as you've chosen the correct language for the transcription and the accent. So for example, for me, I have to choose English UK as opposed to English US, as you might have been able to tell from my accent. Well, Mote can tell as well. So I have to make sure it's set correctly for me. Then when I've got that transcription, then I can do just as you're saying, make those notes super accessible and all the more readily understood for those students I'm trying to connect with.
And anyone who has questions, find me on Twitter and I'll meet up with you and we'll do this together. I am at Gen Technology.
There you go. What an offer. You're going to be inundated, I should say, with requests there, Jennifer. You're going to have a very busy rest of your weekend, I'm sure. I'm sure engaging with all these people that have been blown away by app smashing and those great ideas of how we can learn languages and more with Mote. Thank you as ever for being such a wonderful ambassador and such a big advocate for using Mote. But more importantly, it's not just about using Mote. It's about allowing people to use their voice to experience things and explore things, not only in their learning, but the ways in which they can engage and feel a bit of a closer bond with those people in their community. So thank you for always reminding us of that, Jennifer. Okay, so I'll say, of course, a pleasure. So I'll say cheerio to Jennifer now.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. And I will say we are now coming on to, can you believe it? We are all these hours in. and we're coming to the final session of MoteCon 2021. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to welcome back Sue to the stream. So hello, Sue. How are you?
Hi, John. That was so amazing. I got to watch from backstage. It was really
It really was. I think so. Just to give people an outline, so it brings a tear to my eye to say it, but this is sadly the final session that we're going to be running as a part of MoteCon. We have mentioned those. So two of our speakers, Aaron Johnston and Nicole Reynolds, they weren't actually able, due to last minute changes, they weren't able to participate live, but they have got together some wonderful sessions that we're going to add to the MoteCon playlist. And as soon as we have them live, we'll give them an extra special push out via socials and one or two other channels just to make sure that you can access their innovative educational approaches. But hasn't it been a wonderful couple of days, Sue?
It so has, and I know that our presenters all put in so much hard work and energy and effort into sharing out this content. You know, sometimes putting together a 30-minute presentation requires hours of prep. So thank you so much to all of our presenters. It was just incredible. I even, you know, I feel like I know Mote pretty well these days, and even I was able to learn so many really great ideas.
Yeah, and I think that goes over all the days and all of the sessions. And I think one of the things, the more EdTech conferences, and actually I would say you don't need to worry about the tech part of that, but the more conferences that you attend and the opportunity that you have to share and learn with other educators and people that always put learning first. It doesn't really matter if you're a science teacher going on to a music session like that awesome demonstration that we saw from Rick today, or vice versa. If you're a music teacher going on to a math session, there are always things it's possible to learn. And sometimes those best ideas that come to us come from when we see how they're being used in a slightly different context, and it will allow us to maybe unpack those and to be able to tweak them for not only for our courses and the curriculum, but obviously for the learners that we have in front of us. So even if those things might not hit the mark straight away with how you can apply them perhaps tomorrow, I'm sure over time, just having them at the back of your mind. For example, the way that Katie was so expertly sharing Wakelet today was just another way that Mote can be integrated and to help others. Do any, apart from yours, of course, Sue, are there any sessions that stand out to you?
I mean, of course, I'll give a shout out to Greg because he's on our team too, and he's a feedback master. He had that feedback mini master class, which was, you know, beneficial for anyone, whether you're using Mote or not. But of course, being able to leverage the ability to leave feedback with your voice was pretty incredible. You know, I really loved all of them. I think it was Stephanie that did the bingo board. I loved hers yesterday. Am I correct in saying it was?
You are. Yeah, it was.
So I loved hers, and again, I got to watch that one from the back channel too, which was really great. But I loved everyone's energy. I really did love Rick with his music tips and all his instruments. I mentioned it in the chat, but his students must really love him and having him in class. So it seems like a lot of fun. So we got so many really great ideas and tips and tricks, and you know, I know that we always say teachers are 100% the most creative souls on the planet, I believe. And these conferences, MoteCon in particular, the first ever, you know, this is really an amazing experience to bring people all together from across the world, to be able to kind of share ideas, a big pool of ideas on the ways that you can use Mote and encourage, you know, your students, but also your colleagues. You know, we are in a time where, you know, student voice and also teacher voice has never been more important because of our drastically different, you know, learning styles and learning environments that we're all finding ourselves in right now. So hopefully everyone was able to pull some really great ideas to use for this upcoming school year, unless you're already in the school year for this 21-22 school year.
That's right, Sue. And I think it's important always to remember that because we do have a community of global educators, that whilst it is back to school for those in the Northern Hemisphere, those in the Southern Hemisphere, when we talk about back to school, perhaps we don't mean it's the start of a school year, but it's just you going back to school because it's a Monday. So,
Exactly.
You know, But there are so many ideas, and just as we said about those different ideas being able to translate across age groups, across subject areas, hopefully there are things that you'll be able to take regardless of the particular period of time that you're in at the moment in terms of your school year, and you'll be able to take those back. And I'm sure that there's something that everyone would be able to see from one of the sessions that they think, do you know what, this is something that I can use in my class on Monday, and maybe even share with your wider team. And that's how, and I saw that Katie said this on socials as well, that sometimes just those small ripples, just those small ideas can really help to get some really strong momentum going in your schools, and just encourage people to think creatively. I've speaking of being creative, I have this isn't my own creativity here, but I've just shared at the bottom of the screen right now the link to the MoteCon website. So if you want to access any of these sessions, then you can just head over to mote.com/MoteCon. That has a full agenda, and it will also have, for now, so for the next 48 hours or so, it will have a link to these full videos. So you'll have 3 hours from the Saturday, and 3 hours from the Friday, and 3 hours from Saturday. We're here on day 2. And then early next week, I've got my fingers crossed for Monday, I'll do a little bit of editing, and then we will put each of those videos into their own distinct video that we will be uploading as part of a MoteCon playlist. That playlist will be accessible both via this link, the mote.com/MoteCon, but also it will be as a playlist on our YouTube channel, as I've said. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for you to share and to re-engage with any of these ideas. And with all of the videos, lots of people have asked, just as we've been discussing, where people have been sharing their ideas, with all of these, those templates will be added as descriptions into the YouTube videos, and also obviously made accessible over on our MoteCon website. We've mentioned a few times as well, Sue, the Learning Hub. Just in case that slipped past at any point, just head over. The easiest way that I do it, obviously I have it bookmarked in my Chrome browser. But if you forget to do that, you want to access it for the first time, just head over to learn.mote.com. You can see 1 or 2 other things in addition to the hub, but most teachers will decide to direct themselves and their first click towards the hub to just see the ideas and resources that not only the team from Mote has shared, so Greg, Eleni, and Sue, and 1 or 2 from myself, but also, and really excitingly, the Mote community. So there's Mote ambassadors, Mote teachers, and people that have just got an idea that they would like to share. If you fall into that category and you have something that you think maybe someone else somewhere in the world would benefit from, then please do send that over. We would love to hear from you. We'll give you a special shout out, and maybe 1 or 2 other things as well. But so thanks in advance for that. And there is 1 other thing, Sue, that I just like to make sure that people know about with regard to MoteCon. So you'll see it scrolling across at the bottom there. So we have certificates available to everyone that's attended these sessions. Someone had an excellent question in the last session, is there a way that this process could be slightly more automated? Now, unfortunately not, because we're streaming live to YouTube, so we can't actually take a direct attendance of everyone that's present. Although I have obviously taken like a visual note, and so thank you to those people that have been super active with the comments, but due to privacy reasons, so we can't actually see everyone that has joined. If you head over to bit.ly/MoteConcert, then just put your name in, put your email address in, choose a session, and then you get a certificate. It takes about 15 seconds per certificate, and that will then find its way to you. So as much as we might prefer it to be slightly more automated, hopefully that's not too much of a drain on your time on a Saturday.
That was a lot. That was a lot of links, but I think that the bit.ly/MoteConcert is my favorite for your
exactly.
MoteCon.
Well, it has been a concert. It has, particularly for those of us that were here for Rick's musical Bonanza earlier today. Sue, do you have a link that you wanted to share?
I do. Yeah, I put it over in the private chat. I don't have the live chat up right now, but it's bit.ly/21MoteCon all lowercase. Yep. Yeah. So if you guys want to, I can even pop over to share my screen if you'd like.
Sure. Go ahead.
Here, let me pull StreamYard over.
I've put that into the chat there.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
You're ready to share, aren't you? There we go.
Yep, here we go. So this is just a single slide, kind of like a clickable resources and helpful links for you. You can head on over. You can see that I have the URL down here, bit.ly/21MoteCon, and all lowercase because it is case sensitive. All of these items are clickable. So John, I don't know. I know that we talked a little bit about some of these items already. So we talked about the Learning Hub, which is right here, learn.mote.com. Information about our Mote community is here. I have to give a special shout out to, of course, our ambassadors, but our Mote certified educators, as we are trying to grow that community, that PLN or BLF, personal professional learning family, as big as possible. But all of these are clickable links. And if you click on the MoteCon icon itself, I may have to give that a refresh, but that should bring you right to the site that that will have and hold all of our MoteCon content. And John, is this where we're going to put all of our clickable content from each one of the presentations as well?
It will, absolutely, yeah. So we will make sure to cover as many spaces as possible, because just as you said, there are 1 or 2 links. So we will certainly put it onto the MoteCon page here, the one that you are just sharing with us. But we'll also drop it into the hub, and we will make sure that if you access, for example, just jump over to YouTube and you want to access it through the MoteCon playlist, I will make sure that all of the links to resources and any other relevant information and resources that people have shared all get dropped into the video descriptions, just to make it super easy, not only obviously for people that have joined us as part of MoteCon, but for people that decide to or want to access any of the content in the future. And this page that Sue has shared, the link is actually just scrolling across at the bottom there. So we've got bit.ly/21MoteCon. There we go. I cannot wait already, Sue, for 22's version of MoteCon, but I'll just have to wait.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you need a little bit of rest, probably. You've worked hard the past 2 days and you know, for the past couple of weeks to get all this together. So on behalf of everyone who joined, I want to thank you for doing all of this. And of course, our team. You know, it has been a remarkable past 2 days, and I think that everyone will join me in thanking you. And of course, you know, as I said, our team, everyone on the Mote team, particularly Will, who gave an amazing first workshop session yesterday. I think that this was a really great way to kind of kick off the MoteCons to come, and I'm excited for those as well.
Thank you so much, Sue, and a huge shout out to yourself and Greg from the team at Mote, and to the engineers as well, who I know. So we don't have a huge team, as we've said a few times. So we do a really it's a challenging job to try to prioritize and to try to put the resources that we have into the ways that are always focused on benefiting teachers, the learners, the school community, and basically all stakeholders that have an interest in learning and promoting quality learning outcomes. We do our best to support those. So thank you to all the team at Mote. Thank you for all of those speakers. We had lots of Mote ambassadors joining us. If you're interested in becoming a Mote ambassador, you feel inspired after MoteCon, all you need to do is to head over to mote.com and to our community pages. There's a link there as an expression of interest, and then you will hear from me at the beginning of September, so not long now, just a couple of weeks, where we'll be launching details of the application window, and then we'll be really excited actually to be announcing our new cohort in October. So it'll be the sort of second half of October, but really excited for that. But it has been really good, and I've been really proud to be a part of this and to really enjoy the learning as well, and to see the wonderful ways that people are using Mote, not only in isolation, but the way that we saw, for example, just in the last session, the way that you can use Mote with other tools as a nice app smash. So yeah, I don't think that there's too much else for me to say.
I have something else to say, and that is that our right now Mote on Twitter, it just came in at 4,997 followers. So we are 3 followers away from 5,000 followers on Twitter right now. I can only imagine next year's MoteCon what numbers we'll be looking at. Hopefully it'll be higher. But if you have not followed us on social media, particularly Twitter, and you are one of 3 people that could possibly get us to 5,000 at the very end of MoteCon, that would be pretty awesome. So our handle on the socials is @JustMoteHQ. So if you guys want to head on over there, I'm going to give it a refresh and cross my fingers that we do hit 5,000. But John, I know that you said that you started working on our Mote team. What did you say? It was a couple hundred?
It was 400 or so.
400. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. So that's kind of and yeah, but it's great fun, and I know that there is a light-hearted side to what we do, particularly publicly when we're doing things on socials. But please know that we take everything extremely seriously. A teacher myself for 17 years, and I know the job that it is. And I was teaching as well during lockdown and COVID and all of those terrible shenanigans that we were all having to deal with, and always in the interest of our learners. So my huge respect to every single teacher that has joined us, either as part of MoteCon Live or joins us on demand. You're doing an amazing job, and this has been the most challenging of 18 months. And I have my fingers crossed that it's going to help us all for the future and help us be prepared for a wonderful future. So thank you, Sue.
Yes, of course. This was so much fun, and thank you everyone for joining us. And yeah, make sure you check out all these resources. You guys can share this out with anyone who wasn't able to make MoteCon. And if you are starting the school year off, then have a wonderful start to your school year. One thing I want to mention as an educator and as a trainer of teachers is that Mote, and this has been mentioned the past couple of days, Mote listens to what the teachers need and what the teachers want. So, you can reach out to John, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to us on social, us via email. Just reach out to us if you have any ideas, or if you wish that something worked differently, give us a heads up. We really want to make sure that we're building a product, and our whole team is building a product that will help you and that will save you time and personalize your feedback and your instruction and empower your students all at the same time.
Perfect. And then just as the final note, we are going to be running some PD over the next not only weeks, but like months ahead, both, as Debbie mentioned, through pop-up PD, which is mainly targeted at our Facebook group. So head over to Facebook and join Mote Teachers. But we will also be, we're actually very close to announcing a schedule of webinars that are going to be happening next week and beyond. So they'll be a little bit more formal, whereas a pop-up PD, as they sound, is just a kind of pop-up PD that will be recorded live, and then it'll be shared to YouTube. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to Sue. Thank you for everyone that has stayed around until the end. I can see there's a question about prizes. There are going to be some prizes. There were 1 or 2 challenges that were laid out. So we'll be having a look on socials, and we'll be reaching out to the prize winners. But the greatest prize for us all, of course, is to have engaged in this wonderful festival of learning. So thank you so much on behalf of all of the team at Mote for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you not only at MoteCon 2022, but at various events between now and then on socials, in our Facebook group, and all sorts. So thank you very much all. Thank you, Sue. And that's goodbye for now.
Cheers,
everyone.
Bye, everyone.